qualifier in Super Comp. Harvey, you are having a great year so far. I know you'll continue it. Congratulations. Head on over to see Aubrey for your photo op. Congratulations and a big shout out for Harvey Hubbard, MTC Engineering #1 qualifier, Super Comp. And now Ricardo Marte, if I can get you up here. Ah, yes. The team that's kicking some butt here this weekend. Come on up, everybody, again. Ricardo Marte. Star Racing Top Gas, #1 qualifier. Nothing wrong with that. #1 qualifier in Star Racing Top Gas with Ricardo Marte. Let's get a hand, folks. Thank you, Ricardo and crew. All right. Next up, Growth's Drag Bike Ultra 460 #1 qualifier. None other than the ProComp Pro Mod heavy hitter, Ronnie Procopio. Ronnie, come on up. Collect the hardware. Congratulations, Ronnie. Great job. Yeah, I just don't quickest index class in the history of motorcycle drag racing, and Ronnie Procopio, your #1 qualifier. Congratulations. Next up, Eddie Chapman, our #1 qualifier in Shinko WPS Real Street. And what a weekend he has had. Not your typical #1 qualifier here. You know, it's usually the usual suspects, so it's great to see Eddie Chapman step up and take the pole. So Eddie Chapman, are you here? Here he is, Eddie. Congratulations. Good job. We go from one extreme to the other. A team of many and a team of one here now, Eddie Chapman. Next up will be Mark Rendeluck. Mark Rendeluck, our #1 qualifier in Nitrous Express Pro Open. I'll tell you what, it was dirty out there yesterday. A lot of stuff going on. Pro Open, as I like to say, the class where anything can happen, and usually does. Once again, good job, Mark. Incidentally, also our current reigning champion in Nitrous Express Pro Open. Next up, Johnny Vickers. Johnny Vickers, if I can get you up here to collect your plaque for #1 qualifier performance. Once again, here in Hawaii Pro Fuel. There he is, the man. Good to see you, Johnny. Congratulations. In Hawaii Pro Fuel. Congratulations. And there's only a couple left. We're getting down to the end here. Mark Paquette, 6.75 seconds, #1 qualifier in Pro Street. Please come up here and collect your very well-earned plaque. Mark Paquette, one of the quickest laps ever in Pro Street history. Congratulations, well-deserved. Everybody, kick in, you know what. And I'll tell you what, this is one of the most competitive classes in the history of our sport. APE Pro Street, and Mark Paquette showing his stuff once again. Great job, Mark Paquette and crew. We're down to just a couple now. Travis Davis, our #1 qualifier in Falicon Pro Mod. Travis, would you please step up here and collect the hardware? Incidentally, Travis has repeated. He was #1 qualifier at both Valdosta for our spring opener, as well as here at Rockingham for the second race in our 5-race series this year. I don't see Travis anywhere within eyeshot here, so he's probably busy in the pits getting ready. That's okay. We'll make sure to get his flag to him, but let's just give a big hand for Travis Davis in that #1 qualifying effort. Outstanding work. Displaced Paul Gass at the last moment in the final round. Great drama there. And let me just say, Dave, it's been such a pleasure seeing you and your team rise to the top of this top fuel category. You've got amazing competition, and I know you've all pulled each other along. I can't say enough about how much I love what you guys have done for the class, and congratulations, outstanding work. You're so welcome. Dave Van Tine and crew, some of my oldest friends in this sport, and just taking their well-deserved place once again. #1 qualifiers in Pingle Top Fuel. Dave Van Tine and the Van Tine Nitro Sports crew. Let's give them a big hand. Outstanding. And next up, we're going to talk to our chaplain, Don Dowling. And we have a vocalist here this weekend who's going to lovingly sing the national anthem for us after Don's invocation here. I'm going to hand over the mic to Don right now, and if I could get everybody to just take a moment, hat in hand, let's talk to the creator, the maker, with Don's help. Thank you, Don.
Racing family. My wife's here. She's not feeling up to par, but she's here, and she is sitting over there in the chair at the track. Just pray for her. And it's just been a beautiful weekend, and I'm awful glad that you all come and support Man Cup this week. So let's just keep being safe and have a good time, and let's thank the one that makes it possible. Our Heavenly Father, we're so grateful to be able to stand before you humbly, Father. You created this earth for us to enjoy, and boy, are we enjoying it.
Good for you.
There's a lot of people that are hurting today. In our church service this morning, we talked about when you're going through the valleys, when God don't part the waters, still trust Him. Still trust Him. Because He's got His hand on you, and He loves you, and He gave His Son for you. So, Father, I lift up Aubrey right now. She stands beside me, and I know she's going through a lot. My wife, and there's many more I've talked to here at the track. And it goes on and on. But we know you know their bodies, and you created them, and we know that you're going to take care of them. And, Father, we just ask that you keep everyone safe on this track the rest of this remaining weekend. Just give everybody the knowledge and wisdom to make those decisions at split times. You created the earth for us to enjoy. These bikes are an enjoyment, but they're dangerous. Lord, we thank you for the CMA being here, giving out water, just the little things that matter. But most of all, you care about us, and we're thankful. So thank again. May your blessings be on everyone. May we enjoy what you've given us through your Son, Jesus. Amen. God bless all.
The national anthem, because we want to call out one more very important person or group of persons here at the race this weekend, and of course that would be our event sponsor, DME. What an amazing team, what an amazing company. They have made their mark in motorcycle drag racing for all time, and they're still making it. And if I can ask for Dimmy Edinger, Dimmy, if you are within earshot, if you could please come up here. We'd like to spend a couple minutes with you talking about your contribution to this event and to this sport, and just about DME and all the racers you support in general. So if I could get Dimmy Edinger to spend a couple minutes up here with us, I would be much obliged. So once again, if I could get Dimmy Edinger up here to help us talk about the amazing contributions of DME to our sport and to our event. Here he is, the man of the hour. Hey, Dimmy. Congratulations once again on yet another weekend of amazing performances, and let me express our extreme gratitude as far as your event sponsorship. You've been. What is the big picture? What is your plans for the remainder of the season?
Well, I mean, we're just here to do good in racing, and the main thing is to do a service for the Pro Street community, and spreading our wings to do other things in the racing with not just the turbo bikes, and then just like Joey's on a real street bike, and showing that we can do other things than just a turbo.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a wonderful strategy for you both in racing and business because, of course, you guys have so much capability and it goes well beyond boosted machines. And you're making that apparent that normally aspirated real street machine. Now, that's really something there. And I mean, even I had to be shown what was going on there at first because I didn't fully understand. It is a no power adder machine. We're just talking gas, air, and motor. And what makes that machine different as far as setup versus the other machines in the class?
Well, the motor is a whole lot different. We have a great team here. Andy and Skip Gladstone. They put their heads together and come up with a good combination. And the motor it's basically the same. It's just different compressions. It's just a lot bigger.
And a lot bigger. And I'll tell you what, the way that thing's 60 foot, I mean, you're leading the class right now in 60-foot performance, aren't you?
Yeah, we got some other people sneaking up on us. So we have a new team member, Christopher Connolly. We're glad to have him on, and we're teaching him, stepping him up slowly, and I think he's ready to step up another notch, and we're going to see what happens this next pass.
Well, your team has spent a lot of time developing new talent. And of course, that's great for the sport in general and keeps your brand strong. Of course, this year you're also sponsoring Dustin Lee, the overwhelming Banff champion from last year, and we're really glad to see him out here at the race. And what do you see from Dustin going through? Are you guys going to try anything new with Dustin, or just keep making him do what he does best?
Well, we're always wanting to do different stuff, but Dustin, that was a different thing for us this year. I've always helped people in those areas, the people in the backfields, but I've never helped anyone like a full deal like I have done Dustin, and so that's new for us this year, and it's worked out really well. And Dustin is a really good racer, and I'm proud to have him on our team.
Well, I would be too. He certainly has the qualifications, and as you continue on in this sport, one thing I get people asking me is, are you guys ever planning to build something that's more outside the box, such as like a big slick and bar bike? Have you thought about that? Do you have any interest in it? Am I asking you something you can't comment on? What can you tell me about that?
Well, I mean, I've had other people ask me about Tink Tink, wanting to know if I could build a slick bike with wheelie bars to run maybe to 5 seconds. That's a big accomplishment, but I would love to do a project like that. But right now we are booked up with the stuff that we have, and I would love to do it. It would just have to have that special person that would be involved with a project like that.
Well, I know what you mean about choosing your battles carefully. As someone who tends to take on too much myself, I can certainly understand it's important that you stick, but it's certainly not all about boost. So many different ways to make power. So, well, I appreciate you again taking time with us here today, and especially sponsoring the event once again. Everybody, this is DME Edinger, the head honcho at DME Racing, sponsors of our event. If I could get a big hand for DME Edinger, thank you very much, Jimmy. Now, another big-time man here in the sport, perhaps one of the biggest. One of the things I love doing the most is making you embarrassed when I show you the love, but you're due. This is Larry McBride, the Spider-Man, who has had probably about the most trying last 6 months in his racing career that we may have ever seen. Would you agree with that?
I'd say you're pretty close.
Yeah, of course, Larry had a bad fire last year when his engine had a relatively spectacular failure, certainly about one of the most outrageous engine failures we've ever seen in Top Fuel. And Larry was able to keep a handle on that machine and get it pulled over. Of course, that would be the venerable classic we all know and love as Blue. And he got it pulled over. He was able to not, see it turn into a worse accident than it already was, and suffered some happen again.
Well, one of the biggest things, we got billet cases nowadays, so that definitely going to be a lot stronger. And the bike's a little bit more updated, and old Blue's parts were pretty old, and she just wouldn't take what I did to it. You know, I can't blame the motorcycle. I take full responsibility of the accident myself. You know, it's you know, when racers, you get on the bike and you got your helmet on, the bike's running. You know, you're in another world. You're really not paying attention to what's going on, and the main thing is to get that W. And it don't matter if you're match racing, qualifying. It don't matter. When you're a competitive person, you want to beat the other guy on the side. You know, I don't take losing lightly. I can handle it, but it don't mean I gotta like it.
Absolutely. And, you know, when that bike basically burst into flames beneath you, what were your first thoughts? Did you understand what was going on? Did you? I know you had a pretty strong plan as far as where you wanted to bring it to a stop. Tell me what went through your mind while that was going on at 200 plus miles per hour.
You know, it was probably it really went slow. You know, everything was happening in slow motion. But you know, the main thing, I was aware of what was happening. I knew that they knocked the top frame rail out and the motor was blew up. I knew I was on fire, and I knew I had to get stopped. And I could see the ambulance, so I knew where I wanted to stop by. And so I stopped as close as I could to them. And I have to say thanks to my buddy Dave Van Time, because that's one stand-up guy. I'm going to tell you, he eye on me. He saw I was in trouble. He kept an eye on me, and he actually laid his bike over and run back to me to make sure that I was okay. And you know, I can't really say enough thanks for Dave for that, because he's one hell of a guy to look out for another competitor like he did for me. And you know, I'm in the ambulance, and it's really strange. I always wear my Elmer Trett shirt, and they wanted to cut my shirt off, and Dave said, no, don't cut that shirt off.
No.
So, you know, that really meant a lot to me to see, you know, how good a person that Dave, not that I didn't know he wasn't a good person, but to show that he had that big of a heart and that much compassion towards another person to make sure he was okay.
You know, that's just the kind of guy Dave is, and I don't mean to diminish his accomplishment or his achievement there, but I know he would do that for anybody, especially for you. And of course, what you're referring to is this t-shirt that you've got on right now. Now, this is the patron saint of Top Fuel portrayed on this shirt, the great late Elmer Trett, and you wear this shirt in memory of your close friend on every pass, don't you?
Yes, I do, and you know, good Lord allowed me to do it in his while he was looking over me. So it's I'm glad to be the first person to do it, but I did it for him, and it always will be. And I tell you, I made this statement last night. It's been 20 years this year since Elmer's passed away, and he is the biggest icon in motorcycle drag racing that there ever has been or will be. And that goes all the way back to the Terry Vances, to the Bob Carpenters. Elmer Trett was the most respected guy in motorcycle drag racing, and I try to follow in his footsteps, but I cannot. I get a little bit more excited than Elmer. Elmer could be excited and still talk in a very soft voice, but you knew he meant what he said.
Yeah, Elmer is such an amazing person, and you know, such a like you say, gentle, unassuming man. And his impact on the sport was so astounding. I mean, think about this. Of course, you know, people don't always understand the perspective you need to put it in. 20 years ago, he ran a 6:06, and here now, 20 years later, there are events where we will just barely break into the fives. He was so far ahead of the curve, so far ahead of his time, and the work he did set the stage for what you and Dave and Sam and everyone has done since, and he is so missed. Thank you for keeping his memory alive, and I know that he looks down from heaven every time you make a pass. He knows how much you love him. You were his protege, and while he inspired a lot of people, I think you were definitely the main recipient of his gifts going forward.
You know, it was an honor. You know, we had actually had the honor to do and make my brother, which is an excellent machinist. He was one of the few people that Elmer would even allow to make a part for his motorcycle. So it was not only an honor, it was a privilege to be able to do that. And I used to get to go down there and stay with Elmer. And Elmer had a house, he had a balcony. He said, that's so you'll know who number one is.
And there you go, you know, such a humble man, but he knew what he was capable of, and he knew the trails he blazed. You know, Elmer stepped away from Harley-Davidson drag racing just because he knew he could do so much more with an inline four-cylinder. And, you know, think of that amount of dedication. I mean, that's basically like moving to another country. That's a starting over. But he knew that he did not want to go in any direction other than up all the time. And I'm very inspired by him. I'm glad you are. You are an absolutely honorable continuation of his legacy. Everything you do echoes Elmer Trett. And that's not to take anything away from what you and Steve and Roland and Chuck are capable of. You have proved it. And once again, I need to extend our sports thanks and my personal thanks to you and Chris Hand for the work you did to keep Top Fuel alive during the lean years. If it wasn't for a spark that once out would have been very hard to relight. Not impossible, but very hard. What you and Chris did will be remembered forever as a contribution that goes above and beyond.
Oh, absolutely. Chris Hand, what can you say about Chris? You know, he's been right with me, and I've been right with him. We went to a lot of races together when there was no other Top Fuel bikes to show support and to try to keep the sport alive. And as long as I've got a breath and I can keep rolling, you know, he's 65 years old, so when I'm running out of gas with him now, but we keep refilling him and we keep him going. And, you know, Chuck does a great job. And, you know, to Johnny Colbert, a good friend of mine that is helping us the weekend and would race with me for back in the late 80s all the way through the middle 90s. And he came back out to help. He also knew Elmer, so he knows where I'm coming from and how I'm talking about Elmer. And I know sometimes people probably think I carry the deal a little too far, but when you have a person that great in your sport and done what he's done, and you know, he had people like Byron Hines who would call him and ask him questions. He had Byron coming down and spending time with him, talking about cams and heads and port jobs. And Elmer was extremely smart with no education. And he wasn't ashamed to tell you he didn't have no education.
Yeah, completely self-taught. And I mean, in the most absolute sense of the word.
That's just the greatest guy I think I've ever known in racing. And I'll always support him, and I'll always support Top Fuel. And, you know, my passion to this sport is Top Fuel, but my heart goes out to all of these sportsman riders that come to this place, to these tracks to support us pros. And I don't think sometime that the sportsman guys get enough, we don't praise them enough, because without them here, we have no racing. So I just want them guys to know that I know that all the Top Fuel guys here, I know all Johnny Vickers and the Pro Fuel, all them guys, we appreciate y'all being here. And if there's anything we can ever do to help y'all, we'll always be there for you, because we know why we're here.
That's outstanding, Larry. Thank you so much for that. And knowing that we are a team, a union of racers, all chasing the same goals, all united in our love for this sport and for the people in this sport. And I know you would echo that sentiment completely, that without the people, it really wouldn't be worth doing. The people are what are the cement that keep this sport together. And I want to give you a moment to also give a shout out to your sponsors. Tell us just a little bit about where your sponsorship has gone this year. Of course, you've got a new, well, not a new sponsor, but one of your current sponsors that has stepped up with some new support. And of course, that
introduced me to Joe and got me a small deal with him. And he's been with me since 1999. And he called me back last winter and in November and said, "Hey, Larry, I'm cancer free." He said, "I'm a happy man." So he wanted to come on full board with me, and he did the whole Trim Tex deal. And I made it, you know, he was real concerned about Wayne and Donna, you know, Red Line Oil Drag Specialists, because he wanted them to also stay involved. But at the same time, he wanted to do a marketing deal for Trim Tex. So that's what we're out doing. We're doing a marketing deal for Trim Tex. We've got a 2-year deal. We got this year and next year. That is definitely a signed deal, a done deal. Hopefully a 3rd year. But, you know, without them guys, I couldn't do what I do and have the setup that I have over there, because trust me, people, I don't have that kind of money, okay? I have a lot of help, okay? And I take my money and I put it into my racing. I don't go out and buy Maseratis or Porsches or anything like that, because it's a little over my budget. But my my Porsche or my Maserati is my top fuel bike. But Wayne and Donna Pingle, great supporter. Pingle Enterprise, they have about anything us racers. I know a lot of racers use a lot of their parts, and I do appreciate it because that definitely helps me out. And I'm Wayne and Donna's getting more and more back involved in the sport, but you know, they're 70 years old. They're looking for retirement, but they're still supporting the sport. We got Redline Oil, which has been my oil sponsor for many, many years, and I'm still glad to have them on board. And Drag Specialties, which is your largest aftermarket parts people. Wayne, there again, Wayne Pingle introduced me to him. And then it goes on from there, you know. Fred Fox, that owns Drag Specialties, introduced me to PJ1. So I got a PJ1 deal. I got a Champion deal. You know, you get all of these deals. And what I want to tell everybody out here, all these sportsmen, don't never stop asking. Every time you see a sponsor, it don't hurt to ask, because the worst thing they can say is no. Next year you come back and you ask again. One day they're going to say yes, because they're tired of you coming over and talking to them.
That's so important. And I mean, you know, taken from somebody who's been there, done that, that is the best advice you can give any of these racers. And, you know, on that note, I'd like to take a moment to mention what makes the Man Cup Series so special. Yeah, there's organizations out there that are practically strictly sportsman racing, and they're wonderful and they have their place. But with Man Cup, what we're trying to do is show that whole progression from the lowliest brand new street ET rider right on up to top fuel champions like Larry McBride. You started there. That guy or that gal who enters the gate today could be the next Larry McBride. These events show that if one wants to go to the top, all one has to do is race, make connections, make friends, do good networking, and we're going to continue to show the entire tableau of choices so that racers can continue to aspire to move up into the class that they want to go. And the nice thing about that is they can go as far as they want to go, stop wherever they're comfortable. Maybe they'll end up right back at the top where you are. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll be happy in one of the other classes, but they've got choices. Man Cup is going to keep the National Event Series alive, and we're so happy to have people like you and all the sportsmen on board to do just that, because that's where we all started.
Well, you know, we need all the other organizations that are out there to give the sportsman guys a place that they can go race without traveling a ton. The thing about the Man Cup is the only organization for the sport.
They're very good.
Competition is good. So, but the main thing for everybody to remember, we need to support the Manufacturers Cup just for the simple reason is they're good people. Everybody here is great people. They work hard. They've come in the last 3 years, these people have come so far because they got into a deal where they was used to running a business, not a racing organization. And to put up with people's different mindsets, and I'm one of them. I'm guilty. I was that way last night. I was upset.
Well, you're a racer. You're entitled.
But, you know, you get over it. You go on. This is a new day. You leave that behind you. That's behind you. If you think about yesterday, today's not going to be very good. So we just got to continue to think when something goes wrong, something goes bad, it's always going to get better.
You're absolutely right. And the way I like to say it is, yesterday's a memory. Today is a gift, and that's why we called it the present. Thank you, Larry, for everything you've done for our sport and everything you continue to like never before, and they are driving you to be the best you've ever been, and you will be, because you always are. Great job, Larry McBride. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, and I forgot to mention you, brother, but you do one hell of a job, and we're proud to have you, man, and just stay with us, okay?
Thank you so much, Larry. I appreciate that very much. Everybody, Larry McBride, the Spider-Man, perennial top fuel champion, certainly the second coming of Elmer Trett, and in all of his ongoing exploits, we love you, Larry.
You should say, give her down attack. I can see what he said. I'd be like, oh, never mind.
So we talked about Top Fuel, and we talked about Sportsman, and we talked about all the different things that make this such an amazing combination of racing types and formats. And of course, you know, I am a child of this in both the literal and figurative sense. I was brought into motorcycle drag racing by my father, the late legend Bill Hahn Sr., and he taught me so much. He gave me such a leap forward on my contemporaries here that make it happen, and all the different companies that sponsor this sport. How many of these people are involved in this that could be definitely spending their time and or money on necessarily something more lucrative, but we choose to do it with motorcycle drag racing instead. We love the thrill, we love the people, we love the events. All of the sponsors who are here this weekend have put an immense amount of investment and time into our sport, and we're starting to see the benefits. Speaking of motorcycle drag racing in the big picture, we are actually on an upward swing, and as Larry mentioned, the other organizations that exist are very viable and very effective. And really, when you turn the clock back to where we were when the Man Cup was first incited, going back about 6 years now, when the, at that time, prevailing organization came to a halt and shuttered themselves. That, of course, was the AMA Pro Star, at the time AMA Drag Bike Sanction. Everybody stood around and looked around and said, well, what's next? The nation's economy is in a free fall. Our biggest, best organization just shut its doors forever. What will happen? And when we frame today in that perspective, what has happened since is nothing short of astonishing. Look at what we've got now. Back then, we weren't even sure that we had a future for our sport. Now we've got strong organizations in different regions around the nation. And I'll name them. I love them all. Of course, we've got the IDVL still working the angle up the eastern seaboard there, looking to expand in the future. NHDRO, outstanding work in the Midwest, along with the PMRA as well. All of the organizations are working together as closely as possible to align their rule sets and approaches so that racers can run multiple organizations without having to have all types of different setups. I don't have any hard statistics or data to share with you, but I see all these people out here continuing to support this sport. And much to my delight, it's becoming more and more of a high-tech sport, because that's always been my flavor. I always wanted to go after the new technology, bringing it in, so it's so great to see it go that direction. We're about ready to get going here with the DME Nationals, but I challenge everybody, please spend time on the Manufacturers Midway for the remainder of the day. Stop and talk with your favorite people and players. They're all very personable. They all want to talk with you. Keep the ball rolling forward, because we're all doing this as a team. This is a union. We are united in our love for this sport, and we will keep it going forward. It will continue to grow. There will be everything from Street ET to Top Fuel and everything in between. It ain't always easy, but it's always excellent. My personal thanks to you on behalf of the Man Cup and myself. We're just about ready to put the track to the bikes. A little bit more drag in here. Bear with me for just one moment. Hey, and here's a latecomer, Travis Davis. Ready for your photo op, sir? Number one qualifier, Travis Davis in Falicon Pro Mod. Let's go ahead and get the photo op over by the Vance and Hines. We want you over here by the banners so we can make sure to the grassroots where they all started way back when in the 1970s. I had the privilege of being in California with my father at that time as I watched Terry and Byron become legends when they were just teenagers. It was so cool to see come about. So once again, big shout out to Travis Davis, number one qualifier twice in a row. No other number one qualifier in 2016 except for Travis Davis in Falicon Pro Mod. Put her there, Travis. Well deserved. You and your family deserve everything you get because you work hard and you keep coming to the ring, and the whole crew. Welcome. Thank you. Number one qualifier in Falicon Pro Mod, Travis Davis. All right, we're wrapping it up here. The bikes are about ready to crack some nitro. Two of the finest in the sport about ready to entertain and thrill you. Of course, it is the Spider-Man and the new man on the block, Michael Beeland, riding on DJ's Night. and he knows about as much as anybody's ever going to know about nitro top fuel Harley racing. And at this time, I'd like to pass the mic over to Marie, who's going to give us a loving rendition of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright star ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Our number 3 qualifier in the 599 at 226 miles an hour, Spider-Man to your right. Spider-Man takes the win, 622, 218, has a 107.60 foot time. Clear at starting line. Now, these things are very volatile, as you know, so unless you're an accredited photographer, you cannot be against that wall. It's the insurance purposes and safety purposes and common sense purposes. Thank you so much for your cooperation. We can see 22,000 people here in the grandstands. Lots of good seats in those grandstands. Thank you so much.
Next up, none other than Corey Hogan and Sam Wills, 2 more of the leading stars in this class. So much can be said about them, and I will do my best to let you know just what a contribution these 2 men have also made to the sport. They have now gone into the 6.0s. This bike has only been to a few races, but has gotten progressively quicker at every race, and right now is perched on the edge of the 5-second zone. Now, with as much talent as this team boasts, the ability to make the right decisions to go into the 5s is almost a given. So it's just a matter of time there's a pun, before they get that time. And now they have to take on one of the best in the snow leading the points, has to get past the continually improving Corey Hogan, who actually qualified a little quicker than Sam. So Sam has the proverbial work cut out for him as he needs to turn back Corey here in the first round to continue his quest for a championship here in 2016. A first round loss would be and it's a very fine line. I mean, I'm really splitting hairs here about the technique. Feet past the water while on the roll, they'd crack the throttle and then drive it, smoking a tire across the line. They're not doing that anymore, and Sam Wills appears to have been an innovator once again in showing the entire Top Fuel class about a different way to do burnouts that appears to be working very well. Obviously, it's something that everybody believes in, and they are making it happen based on the Puma engine. The ATF-1 being a unique machine with its all-billet engine that is an L-Wine exclusive design based on Suzuki Hayabusa port centers. It is a clean sheet of paper, overhead cam, side drive, all-billet engine, and we may witness its first ever 5 right now. Well, one really important aspect of what just happened, Sam Wills lost in the first round, and this will have a decided effect on his points chase this year. Leading the points coming into this race, he is unlikely to maintain that lead throughout the event. Coming out of this race, we're going to have a new points leader right now, and of course it'll be one of the bikes that was at the first event, and that could very well be Corey Hogan. Next up, Chris, indicating that he is back. He had a long dry spell between 5s. It's been about 3 years since he ran that first 5, and now he's back in the saddle. And I'll tell you what, there is determination at its finest. This team just doesn't know how to say no. They keep coming, they keep working, they keep breaking parts and learning. And I mean, on to us this weekend with his with his Top Fuel Harley, and help beef up the Top Fuel field to a total of 7 bikes. We really appreciate Russ Sowers coming out, and he has a shot here. This is not by any means. Takes the first stage beam. Russ is in right behind him. We are mere moments away from seeing Chris Hand the big end, but stayed ahead of Russ Sowers all the way. So a nice, solid round win for the Redneck Express machine. And the prevailing thought here is that Chris knew he had such a lead on the other machine, fire. So, but there's nothing wrong with that. When you are a privateer, equipment in fine form for the next pass. So great job there, great strategy by Chris Hand and the Redneck Express team. And now, nobody else has qualified #1 at an event this year in Pingle Top Fuel except this man, Vantine Nitro Sports, and Dave Vantine, former pro mod racer, outstanding Top Fuel racer, making his motorcycle drag racing history. By virtue of his #1 qualifying effort, he will get the bye run here. And I do know Dave Vantine, he's going to go for it. He wants to improve upon his #1 qualifying position. This is essentially a gift on race day. The first round bye means he can basically try or do anything and have no effect on the fact that he will be in the second round no matter what happens. So it's a free tune-up pass. It's an outstanding opportunity for an outstanding team to better their position. time in a sub 4 second 8th mile. Just think about that for a moment on a motorcycle. Pass this time, but invaluable data was acquired on that pass. They know much more about the racetrack now than they knew about 30 seconds ago, and they will apply that information for the next round. Moving now into Hawaii Pro Fuel, and what an amazing nitro class in its own right. These are the Pro Fuelers, and a big tire and a whole bunch of nitro. It is the Hawaii Pro Fuel class. We've got the usual suspects out here today vying for that win in Hawaii Pro Fuel. There's Rocky Jackson out there, Johnny Vickers, Jeanette Thornley. We've got Preston Bartlett, Willie Hirschberger. Just about everybody who's anybody is here today, with one exception, and that of course would be Kirby Apathy, who was not able to prevail in the fuel category. John McConnell will take on the Bullet, Johnny Vickers, the quickest Pro Fuel bike in history. Johnny Vickers qualified number 1 with a 7:24. John McConnell well behind with an 8:29. A 1:13.60 foot time, 2:92 to the 3:30, 4:47 in the 8th mile. Can they find another 8 or 900ths? You bet they can. And this track will be there for them later to do just that. Next up is Rocky Jackson and Tyler Wilson. Tyler Wilson, of course, sponsored by his own company, Wilson Concrete. Rocky Jackson, sponsored by everybody and their brother, including Fast Coon-Ass Racing, Bandito Race Team and Tires, Gulf Coast Tattoos, Buffalo Wild Wings of Lafayette, Louisiana, Fort Myers Marina, and Bulls Nursing Homes. All of these supporting companies are making Rocky. It would appear they have an issue which cannot be rectified. Oh, this is a disappointment. Actually, it's a disappointment for everyone but Preston Bartlett and crew. But as far as us from a spectator and a racing organization point of view, we really wanted to see Rocky run today, and that is sad. So already, 2 of the biggest hitters in the class. Effort of 765, and I might say he just dodged the bullet. Rocky Jackson, with considerably more performance in qualifying, might have had that one wrapped up if he could have just made the pass. Excuse me. Jordan Cruz and Cliff Holly. This is the Florida Pro Fuel Connection, or part of it. Now, of course, since Kirby Apathy has moved his V-Twin Performance Company to Florida. Recently resurfaced. Racetracks out in Florida continue to make gains. Another Florida venue that had been almost written off as of late has come back strong. Orlando Speed World, also recently resurfaced, and now one of the handful of tracks that are being sought out for winter and off-season testing down in Florida. So great see that too. As our sport continues to evolve, now here go two of Willie's machines. Right off the line, man, this is a drag race, but it looks like Cliff Holly's pulling out ahead. And sure enough, at the finish line, Cliff Holly is your winner with a 7:46. Jordan Cruz, a strong effort, but just not enough. Margin of victory fairly tight, only about 100th of a second. Great job there by Willie Hirschberger and crew. Too bad both of their bikes had to run each other in the first round, but when you bring multiple bikes, that is an ever-present possibility. Once again, congratulations to Willie Hirschberger and Cliff Holly, and to Jordan Cruz. He had a great showing this weekend. Now we have the reigning NHRA Pro Fuel Champion. Yep, last year everybody in NHRA Pro Fuel competition got beat by that girl. I like to say that because when women win, I just think it adds structure, variety, flavor to our sport that is essential. It all started with Shirley Cha-Cha Muldowney back in the 70s, and she blazed a fine trail that many ladies have followed in. This being one of them, Jeanette Thornley, the first ever Nitro bike champion that is a female, brought up to me that Shirley Muldowney was in her first ever final round this very racetrack. So this is a historic part of Shirley's trajectory, and look at this, could also be a historic part of Jeanette Thornley's trajectory right now. Jeanette has proved to everybody she has what it takes. Oh my! That was not what we expected to see at all. Jeanette goes red, and by a mile. The tree was not even activated. Apparently the bike shifted during staging, and it's one of those things that you hate to see happen, but... So, Preston Bartlett, the latest recipient of an upset gift here in Pro Fuel. What an amazing round it was. Regrets there to Jeanette Thornley and the Dream Chaser Racing crew. Certainly an unexpected outcome there, but she is still the champion. She has a lot to look forward to. Right away, Nikki Corley and Bronson Grothus. It's time to deal with those sub 1060 foot times that these amazing nitrous injected machines are capable of. And of course, we're going to move the clocks now to the 8th mile. This is competed on the 8th mile, as is so popular in the southern climes. 8th mile drag racing. Nitrous Express Pro Open, we have a few bikes as of yet not in the lanes, and the program is on. You guys know the order. It should not be a surprise to you that you're needed in the lanes at this time. So, Nitrous Express Pro Open competitors, if you're not in the lanes, you need to be there right now. The show will go on. Here we go. Now we switch it to the 8th mile, and we go away from nitromethane to Science Southeast combinations. They've taken a few tricks from the car ranks. They've built a lot of their own. Pro Street, we need you in lanes 7 and 8 right now. Once again, that's APE Pro Street. Please make your way to lanes 7 and 8, and Shinko WPS Real Street to lanes 5 and 6, please. Once again, that's APE Pro Street to lanes 7 and 8, and Shinko gets out best at 4:15, more than enough to take out Nikki Corley. Bronson Grothus 102 to the 60-foot clock in an 066 light. Little off of his qualifying pace, but all he needed to prevail here in the first round. Next up will be Shane Eperjeezy and Matt Profit. Once again, I need the remainder of our Nitrous Express Pro Open competitors to make your way to the lanes, as well as APE Pro Street to lanes 7 and 8, Shinko WPS Real Street to lanes 5 and 6. Sportsman, you are on standby. You will be up next.
How are you today?
Good.
Hey, last night.
Come on back out here.
Next up, Shane Eberjesi out of that that Grothis Drag Bikes Racing Stable. Shane and displaying their wares at the Man Cup events. Brought to us by Vance and Hines. With their recent acquisition of the PMFR brand in inventory, they continue to expand their influence in the motorcycle drag racing parts vendor department. Matt Profit in the Pepsi Lane had an outstanding showing at Valdosta earlier this year. And he's looking to recapture some of that magic right now. And it is not to be. While Matt Profit does pick up compared to his qualifying time, and Shane Eberjesi slows a bit, the margins just weren't enough, and Shane is your winner. Next up, it's a Florida versus Georgia contest with Spencer Allen up here from Cape Coral, Florida, on that mighty green machine. Lane. And at this time, I'd like to begin calling my sportsman classes, starting, of course, with Grothis Drag Bikes Ultra 460 to lanes 3 and 4, followed by MTC Engineering Supercount lanes 1 and 2. Once again, that's Grothis 460 to lanes 3 and 4, MTC Engineering Supercount to lanes 1 and 2, and at this time I should have all of my Pro Open, Pro Street, and Real Street competitors in their respective lanes as well. A quick inspection of the racing surface. We had reason to suspect there might be something out there, so we always take a look. I remember how drag strips used to be back in the day, man. We'd walk that track like during an off time or at night and find nothing. And, it's such a different world today. I mean, you can just about eat off of that racing surface anywhere in comparison. But, man, yeah, we would just laugh at all the different bits and pieces we'd find out there. Way back when about all they ever did was prep the first 60 feet and just tell you to go for it. Such a different animal today drag racing has become. Now it's chemistry as we combine unique new tire compounds with unique new traction compounds and see what happens. In some instances, it works too well and it rips chunks of rubber off the tire because there's so much traction. And all those remaining pro classes, Pro Open, Pro Street, Real Street, should be in their respective lanes. And I make another call for Grothis Drag Bikes Ultra 460 to lanes 3 and 4, and MTC Engineering Supercount to lanes 1 and 2. Remainder of the sportsman classes, be aware, you are on standby. You'll be up next. Reinforcing the call for APE Pro Street and Shitco WPS Real. Right now, though, it's all back to Spencer Allen and Kennell Smith. Florida versus Georgia. Right now, Cannell Smith with a slight advantage over Spencer, about 200s in qualifying. These are the number 7 and 8 qualifiers, respectively. Spencer Allen's got a teen in that bike, and it seems like it's about time to find it if he wants to get past this very fast. Off the line, Spencer with the advantage, and I'll tell you what, Cannell Smith might have been able to squeak past him if he had his same qualifying performance, but he slips to a 4:39. Spencer has no problem covering that at the 660 and is your winner. Now we have David Nortry that took the Pro Mod Championship a couple seasons ago. And an amazing bike it has been. Now Mike's been riding it as of late, having fun with it. David Norris in the VP Racing lane is qualified number 5, so he's got about a 10.5 advantage over Mike Tian based on qualifying. But do not count out the Tian team at this point. It's Mike. Here comes David, and it's on. David Norris catches him on the 60 foot, but Mike throws a wonderful 003 light, but it is not enough, nowhere near enough. David Norris does get past Mike Tian. Doesn't run quite as quick as his qualifying time, but more than enough to cover Mike Tian's falling off 469. Mike Tian with an outstanding reaction time there of 003, but nowhere near enough to hold off Dave Norris's 422. All right, next up, Valicon Pro taking on Tommy Saxon, the little guy from Bogart, Georgia. It would appear that he has not showed up. Tommy Saxon unable to make the call. Carlos Wilkerson is going to get a competition single. Once again, Growth is Drag Bikes Ultra 460. Need you to the lanes immediately, please. Growth is Drag Bike Ultra 460 to the lanes. Carlos Wilkerson runs a shade slower than his qualifying. Pretty good weekend. Qualified number 9 with a 425. Growth is Drag Bikes 460 to 3 and 4, please. MTC Engineering Super Count to lanes 1 and 2. The man with the plan, Travis Davis, number 1 qualifier at all of our races so far this year. Yep, all 2 of them. Qualified number 1 to 407, just squeaking past the grand old man, Paul Gast, who had a lock on that number qualifying position, but could not hold it. George Whitaker in the Pepsi lane does have his work cut out for him, as he's 3/10 off the pace. Goes a 412 with a 103 60-foot time, more than enough to cover George Whitaker's 465. And speaking of the man that just keeps on racing. We have Growth is Drag Bikes Ultra 460 in lanes 3 and 4. So once again, MTC Engineering Super Count, lanes 1 and 2. And now starting to fall, West Coast Street Fighter lanes 5 and 6. So here we go. Fast by Gas, the man, the legend, and the extremely formidable racer on the line in the Pepsi lane. Qualified number 2, right behind almost 3/10 behind Paul Gaston qualifying. 3/10 in an 8th mile race of this stature it's like a golf you can't even see the other side of. 3/10. How can he make it up? He's going to have to hope something goes wrong for Paul, and he's going to have to push the light really hard. Then you look at all, he's also found a little more in that bike. Takes the win. Makes it look easy with a 4:11, 102 to the 60-foot, 270 into 3:30. Man, these machines are quick in the short times. An amazing first round, and here it comes. Nitrous Express Pro Open. If you like it wild and woolly and weird, this is your class. His dad, Skip. Andy Gaskins up here from Kissimmee, Florida in the Pepsi lane is in a very dire position right now, taking on the world's quickest no bar bike. Bike Ultra 460 to lanes 3 and 4, please. About Tink Tink in the left lane, but I do know this. The sound of the engine seems just a little rattier than I'm used to hearing on that smooth injected turbo, so they may have something to work with there. Of course, I might just be hearing things. It could just be a dirty sports, and I believe anything but excellence is about to occur. Andy Gaskins in Kissimmee, Florida, who is out here doing some licensing passes, is just going to make another practice lap here and hope to get past the world's quickest no bar bike, Joey Gladstone and Tink Tink. And there we have it. You know, Tink Tink not on its game, 7:59, as much as we might have expected, but all the same, Joey Gladstone and Tink Tink going to have to do a little bit of homework in the pit between rounds for the next round. Alcohol Kawasaki going up against Nikizaki all the way here from down under. The Australian coming here to America to play hard with the big boys. Charlie Thies does what he can to stay over that zip line and get up there, but he cannot catch her. Nikizaki takes. MTC Engineering Super Count to lanes 1 and 2, please. MTC Engineering Super Count to lanes 1 and 2, and I should already have all my Growthless drag bikes, Ultra 460 machines, in place at this time. Wiseco Street Fighter also need you to lanes 5 and 6. And now making my first call for Star Racing Top Gas to lanes 3 and 4, please. And the drama continues here in Nitrous Express Pro Open. We're now waiting to clear the end of the track. Apparently we've got a bike still on the track down there. Looking for the sixes. The bike on a much better pace than we've seen. 442 to the 8th mile. We're in the sixes. You bet we are. 697 with a 6. All right, Shinko WPS Real Street, there's a distinct deficiency of you in the lanes at this time, and we are on a schedule. We need to run Real Street. Do not miss your round. Shinko WPS Real Street, we've been calling you for a while, and you do know the order here on Sunday. It should come as no surprise. We don't understand why the Shinko WPS Real Street bikes are not all in the lanes, but we can't hold the program back for you. This is race day, folks. Get them to the lanes. Shinko WPS Real Street. Not now. Right now. Show looks like the remaining bikes that have yet to leisurely make their way to the staging lane in Shinko WPS Real Street are going to get a little respite here because the track personnel have determined it's time to do a little bit of the broom and groom, a little bit of the track prep. So I don't know what you guys are doing back there in the pits, but turn off the TV, stop playing cards, get those bikes in the staging lanes. So while we give the track the stiction it's looking for, I would like to call everyone's attention again to everything that's going on down in the manufacturer's midway. The Rockingham concession stand is open. The Manufacturers Cup souvenir area is also open. Great t-shirt values there, and of course, Father's Day present ideas. One-stop shopping here at Rockingham Dragway. You can also visit the Italian Ice Guys. Apparently they have a sumptuous, exquisite frozen confection for you down there in their Italian Ice. Rob Bush Motorsports with a full display of everything you're going to need to go drag racing, including Robinson Industries transmissions, all sorts of Suzuki parts, new drag racing shocks from the M2 Shocks Company, industry veterans Bates Leathers are down there once again supporting all the Man Cup races. Bates Leathers, been a part of the game for a better part of 50 years now. And we are on the roll here now in APE Pro Street. First pair up, number 2 qualifier, Terrence Angela with what I think might be a career best, 682. That is outstanding for the man who is an underwater welder in his home nation of Aruba, the island paradise. Going up a guy who has really found it himself here lately, Aaron Litton out of Lewisburg, North Carolina. Aaron's been deep into the 6s. On that Williford tuned machine. Aaron struggled in qualifying and was only able to come up with an 8:57, well off of his previous pace. That's why he has pulled the number 2 qualifier, Terrence Angela, here in the first round. So Aaron has a virtual mountain to climb here. Terrence carefully takes the first bulb. Aaron will be in right behind him. Who goes first? I'm guessing Aaron. I'm wrong. Off we go. Oh, this could be that upset. Aaron actually is not bad, but he is behind Terrence at the 8th, and that's it. Terrence Angela, 684 at 211. Of course, he went 216 earlier in the weekend. So Terrence Angela showing that trademarked DME horsepower and consistency as well. 684, 682. I'm thinking Terrence Angela has as good a chance of any to win this race at this time. But he's going to have to mow his way through a lot of heavy hitters in the meantime. It's not going to be easy for Terrence. Jeremy St. Julian. I've had a chance to hang out with Jeremy a little bit. He's a very fun individual, runs a trucking company in his hometown, and is very determined about making a big dent here in motorcycle drag racing. He has made major progress towards that goal here in 2016. I don't know much about Jamie Lopez, but I know he keeps going quicker and quicker. Qualified number 4 with a 7:10. Just another one of the rising stars here in APE Pro Street. Right now, it looks like Jamie's got the advantage, but Jeremy's right on him. Look at that. Jeremy St. Julian squeezes past the quicker qualifier. Runs pretty much right on his own qualifying time, but takes advantage of the fact that Jamie Lopez fell off a couple tenths here. So Jeremy St. Julian for the upset win, first round. He'll be back. work to do before the next round, but either way, Mark Paquette, your winner. Keep those sportsman bikes coming to the lanes. Of course, we should have all of our Growthis Ultra 460 bikes in lanes 3 and 4 by now. MTC and Jerry Super Comp in lanes 1 and 2. Leisco Street Fighter in lanes 5 and 6. Brandon Mitchin does the smoke show. Puts about 5 passes worth of tire down on that track in the first 100 feet there. Rocky Tinker, unable to complete the pass, rolls it off to the side. So, would have been a great race as those bikes were qualified a mere 0.02 of a second apart from one another, numbers 5 and 6, but we are denied. Joey Gladstone, number 3 qualifier with a 684, our reigning national champion in APE Pro Street, and has been for 3 years running now, going up against Team DME customer bike Chris Connolly in the Pepsi lane. Chris Connolly continues to improve, but his odds of getting past our friend Joey are remote at best. A little bit of jumping around lane to lane as Team DME mines 2 bikes at once. But now staging has begun. It is not time to be touching those bikes anymore. Chris Connolly gets out on Joey, throws a better light, has a better 60, but here comes Joey, runs around him at the 8th mile. Whoa, and there you go. I'll tell you what, those bikes were just about even at the 8th mile, but Joey's top-end charge made the difference. So Chris Connolly just about took the teacher to school. But he's going to need a little more horsepower to make it past Joey in the big end. Next pair up will be David Stewart and Marcus Hilton, both North Carolina residents, Mooresville and Eden, North Carolina. And of course that is, as his leathers so boldly state, Super Dave Stewart. Marcus Hilton also apparently sponsored by GAN Speed. Number 4 and 5 qualifiers here. Okay, top end of the track is clear. We're back racing. Super Dave Stewart going up against Marcus Hilton. And like I mentioned earlier, only 200 separated these bikes in qualifying, so we should have us a good drag race here. Dave pulls a super move. Even though he gave up over 2/10 at the 8th mile, he reels Marcus Hilton back in and makes it happen. Improves upon his qualifying time by a little sliver and gets the win. So, nicely done there, Super Dave. Quick check of the racing surface, ensuring that ongoing perfection that the Rock is noted for. And there appears to be a little piece of detritus out there on the track. But no, I know. Going up against Annabelle Merced, current Real Street champion in the IDBL. Annabelle is, of course, our number 3 qualifier here in Shinko WPS Real Street. Jason Heron, number 6. Annabelle is in the 7s with a 791. Jason not too far behind, 821. And we've just gotten a report from one of the last bikes on the track that there might be a reason to check the top end. We're very grateful for when racers let us know that they've had an issue with their machine. For while it may not necessarily be evident to us here, if they know about it and they get back to us, we've got a much better chance of being able to prevent any issues on that racetrack. So, much obliged to the team for letting us know, and now we're going to go have a good look at the top end. Earlier I mentioned the Christian Motorcyclists Association and their kids tent that they bring along to the races to give our children somewhere to play and interact safely with one another. And right now, it's game time, starting here at 1 o'clock. The CMA Kids Tent has all types of card games and other ways to keep the kids happy and educationally absorbed while we're out here racing. So stop on by the CMA Kids Tent for game time with your children right now through about 2:15. Big thanks once again to the CMA for seeing to our drivers and riders' needs in the staging lanes with water on this hot weekend. It's summertime, and when you go racing in the summer, there's one thing you learn how to do, and it's sweat. Got to replace that water. Stay hydrated, everybody. So while the Rockingham staff gives an investigational look at the track, so far the reports are good, but we have to be very, very careful. When you've got 1,320 feet of racing surface and another couple thousand feet of shutdown surface, there's lots of room for stuff to sit there and wait for us. And there's a dedicated crew running back to the starting line so we can regain and restart. Advantage in qualifying. Runs right on his qualifying numbers, so looking good for the next round. Now up, number one qualifier, Eddie Chapman. He went 782 to take the pole. Stephen Dumas went 919. Currently Dumas putting up a fight, but Eddie driving around him by the 330, and it's all over at the other end of the track. Another heroic effort on reaction time. Stephen Dumas threw down an 0.21 against Eddie Chapman's 198. But Eddie Chapman had more than enough in the bag to make that a non-issue. And here they are, fresh back from their Pro Street competition rounds. Now in Real Street, it is Joey Gladstone and Jamie Lopez. Joey Gladstone on that amazing normally aspirated Real Street. That's right, that Hayabusa in the VP racing lane has no power adders other than the atmosphere. No boost, no juice, all nuts, as we used to say. Number 2 qualifier with a 787, Jamie Lopez, a second behind number 7 at 888. Jamie does the only thing he could possibly do when he tries to drill the tree. He goes red. Joey is your winner with an 810. So Jamie Lopez will now return to the beautiful island nation of Statia. I believe that's in the Dutch Caribbean. I keep talking about how much fun it's been these last couple of years seeing all these racers make their way here from all these Caribbean islands. They are nuts about drag bikes out there in the middle of the ocean. And they come to Rockingham Dragway to work out those frustrations. That concludes our first pro round. Now we move into sportsman categories. And right out of the box, it's a fun one. It is the Grothis Drag Bikes Ultra 460 class with a man sporting brand new leathers and a whole new attitude there in the BP Racing lane. That is George Baber of Baber Performance Motors. Still racing after all these years. He decided it was time to buy new leathers and go out and have fun once again. This is his older Pro Stock bike that he has thrown a stage of juice on to come here and play in the 460 Index class. He's having a ball. I talked to him yesterday, and he's just like a kid in a candy store. So fun to see these guys return to the sport of their youth and have fun and do well. Amazing how many of the, I don't want to call them senior citizens are out here, but they're definitely middle-aged plus. And so many great racers out here in their 50s and 60s. Very encouraging for a man of my particular stature who is looking at possibly doing this again myself. Now, while George Baber represents the old guard, Boo Brown here is what it's all happening about right now with the youth. My gosh, he's had a great weekend. At one point, I think he was number 3 qualifier in 3 classes simultaneously. That doesn't happen very often. He was able to hold on to all of them, but for a moment there, he was the golden child. George Baber is a number 14 qualifier here in Grothis Drag Bikes Ultra 460. Whereas Boo Brown is one of several bikes that ran right on the index of 4.60. So, George Baber needs to find a couple 3/10s here to hang with Boo Brown. Nothing to be ashamed of in his debut outing at his second coming. But when you got Boo Brown running right on the index in the other lane, that's a tough one to overcome. Margin of victory there, only 26 thousandths of a second. Great drag race there for George Baber and Boo Brown. Shelton and Alan Fields, number 10 and number 7 qualifiers. Both deep into the 460s. This has been an extremely competitive qualifying class this weekend. Probably about the tightest qualifying we've seen to date in the Growthless Drag Bikes Ultra 460 Index class, the world's quickest index class for motorcycles. Ultra 460 has proven to be an excellent opportunity to get older bikes that may not fit into a competitive scheme on the modern classes, but can still have a lot of classes in it. Tim Shelton gets out about a tenth ahead of Alan Fields and holds on to it. Even though Alan Fields goes a 467, Tim Shelton pulls that starting line advantage into a win. Margin of victory, 0.05 of a second. Amazing work there for Tim Shelton. Talk about dodging the bullet. Now Joe Lemons and Roderick Sanders Jr. Roderick's in the Pepsi lane. He qualified number 4 with a 461, another strong qualifying performance. Joe Lemons in the VP lane, a little further behind with a 478. Falls off of his qualifying pace a little bit. Joe Lemons picks up a little bit, but it's not enough. Roderick Sanders pulls out ahead and was pretty much out ahead the whole time. Now Chase Morris, our number 12 qualifier with a 467, takes on Woody Rawlings. Woody Rawlings, another strong contender down there near the index, 462 in qualifying. Morris not far behind with a 467, so another strong pairing, a very competitive outing this weekend for Growthless Drag Bikes Ultra 460. This class continues to gel and focus. Barry Harvey on that old school draw-through turbo, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. Get those old bikes out of the garage, out of the rafters, dust them off, fire them up, and bring them out for Ultra 460. Ronnie Procopio is going to give Barry what for? I'm telling you, this is a pretty serious competitor to roll up against, and Barry has a lot of work to do. Ronnie is number 1 qualifier. Look at that, Barry got one on him. Is he going to find a 460? Not this time. Procopio prevails, but I'll tell you what, it was fun seeing Barry Harvey put the reaction time and a 60-footer on him, but it was all over with 330. Grothus. Number 8 qualifier with a 464 is going to run Randy Butler, number 9 qualifier with a 464. Straight up drag race based on qualifying numbers. Goodson gets too hungry. He goes James Bond red 007. Shaken but not stirred. Randy takes the easy win. Runs it right out the back door. Both riders go deep under the index as a result of that red light. They stayed in it hard. So Randy Butler, the recipient of a freebie, so to speak. Not to say he wouldn't have won it fair and square otherwise, but when red shines, it's over. More diversity, more fun stuff. Now it's a Nitro Harley. Nitro Pro Fuel Harley here in the Grothus Dragway Ultra 460 class. Hey, why not? I get the feeling that's a bigger engine than the Ultra Pro Fueler, though. It's just got a stronger note to it. Could still be a 120-incher, but I think it's bigger. Of course, you can do that here at Ultra 460. Joey Gladstone, man of many rides this weekend. Joey in the VP lane. He's been on everything this weekend. Real Street, Pro Street, Street ET, 460, and I think there's one other class he was in as well, so wow. The man can do just about anything on two wheels. Jay Beasley is the rider on that Nitro Harley, crewed by Mr. Bobby Hoover, who has been a big proponent of bringing his 460 class around. We appreciate that input and effort very much. So this will be a fun race here. Jay Beasley gets a little closer to that center line. Joey Gladstone goes 466. Identical reaction times for the riders, but Joey pulls away with the horsepower. And by now we should have all of the rest of our sportsman classes lined up in the lanes. That is, of course, MTC Engineering Super Count to lanes 1 and 2. Wise Go Street Fighter to lanes 5 and 6. Star Racing Top Gas in lanes 3 and 4. And I'm now going to start calling you guys in Worldwide Bearing Crazy 8s. Need you in lanes 1 and 2. You'll come out behind the MTC Engineering Super Count, who are up next.
Green room, huh?
Strike there. Gonna get a job this summer, Adam? We got about $600 of stuff to fix on the scooter where it straight broke it. On the side, the muffler.
But how do you know that was that?
Because it was perfect when we got
Oh,
it.
oh, okay, okay. But could it have happened at Valdosta and we didn't realize it?
Only when he crashed there. And the golf cart jumping hills, you'd knock the batteries out.
Oh.
So it
Tore the rectifier. And burnt the two battery posts. Your brother said you were jumping hills back in the woods.
That was with me.
No.
Yes, I swear to God.
You're gonna have to, because your brother sold you out. You just have to get another job, you'll be okay.
You and Travis gotta get together. Damage happened here, huh? Not Valdosta too. Life goes on.
So it's time for a little bit of love for the racing surface once again. This is the game we play with modern drag racing. We've all become so accustomed to this amazing traction, and our setups are so dependent upon it that we've got to keep, well, cultivating it, maintaining it. It's not a bad thing. It's just a big part of it. And Steve Irwood and I were talking about this yesterday, and just how much time NHRA has to spend on track prep these days because of this. And, you know, an interesting counterpoint to all of this has been the recent no prep revolution.
All those batteries.
Which, you know, has its proponents and its critics, where they'll take a track and just leave it completely green and send cars with thousands of horsepower down it. It's, you know, it's got some type of a romantic connection to street racing, but an interesting look, nonetheless, at a different way to go drag racing. My own particular preference there is no, don't do it, because today's cars are just too powerful, and too much can go wrong too quickly if we don't have good traction conditions, and that's the way I feel about it. You know, 20 years ago we didn't have so many 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 horsepower cars out there. These days there's so many of them.
Yeah, it was just a table.
And if you're missing your cap, your baseball cap, you may find it at the CMA tent, as someone has turned it in. So if you're looking around and it ain't there anymore, stop by CMA.
Pro Star Freaks. When you guys start this process? Bobby, when do you start? Is this for later?
No, this is it. They'll start maybe coming up now.
Oh, okay. Get everybody all at once, huh?
Yep.
Beating the door down.
Trying to.
And it looks like we've got our last pair in Ultra 460 now with Bobby Lovingood and Keith Dennis. Keith Dennis, yet another one of those old-timey racers that has returned to the fold.
Right there?
That's what I like to call him, middle-aged plus.
Oh, okay. Does he live out near you guys?
Still racing after all these years.
I've heard the name. Moving around.
Both of these racers did qualify in the 460s, so this has all the markings of a good race coming up. Keith Dennis, when he was in his heyday years ago, was as good as you could find, and I don't doubt that he's on his way back towards that same status right now. Bobby Lovingood, also a big hitter. Now it's time. Lovingood right on top of the index, goes 462 for the win. Keith with a marginal edge at the reaction time, but cannot hold it. The bike does not shift. And look at that, Keith does the right thing. Gets right on off to the edge. And we might need to send somebody down there to get Keith. Keith Dennis's crew person, if you could please go get your racer. You can run right down to drag strip to do it if you're still up here. So Keith Dennis's crew, you can take your tow bike right down to drag strip to go get Keith off the track ASAP.
Well, we got right on the prices. The ones that have the prices tend to go good.
Moving now into NTC Engineering Supercomp. We're going to start it off with Brian Bolton and Freddie Frazier. Both racers were in the 890s in qualifying. 893 for Brian Bolton, and Freddie Frazier pulled up an 898.
Oh, the crew's all moved up here with air conditioning.
Rick's are
Sundays,
tight now. He's supposed to be
best
down.
day ever.
So that means he had a beautiful ride here through the mountains. Such awesome country here in North Carolina. Of course, we were up here last week, or I should say we were on the other side of the state in the Maggie Valley region, up there for a Polaris slingshot event. And of course, we had to return to the flatness of Florida. I'll tell you, it's a beautiful state. Mr. Frazier getting kind of a whoop-de-doo burnout there. Almost aimed it at his command just for a moment. 96 Buell taking on a 78 Kawasaki in the VP lane. 890 is the index. Look at that, Freddie Frazier, one of the tightest packages of the weekend. He goes 008 on the light, 890 with a 3 on the index. That is an 11 thousandths package, and that is strong. Amazing. I think that's the second best I've seen here this weekend. We saw a 009 package yesterday. So, Angie Young almost makes it, goes 886. A valiant effort, but she loses the game at the stripe. Harvey Hubbard looks to have dumped her. And I guess if you're going to get dumped, it should happen at the racetrack. pushing him right over the limit there. Mark McCoy's 083, everything he needed to make Mr. Johnson break out on that sleepy 171. I don't want to hear about reaction times like that today. Guys and gals, we came to race, not to play. Now we have Larry Bradley and Calvin Mason. Calvin's here from Mobile, Alabama. Larry Bradley made the run up from Deltona, Florida. That's not Daytona, it's Deltona, which, as I've learned, is right by Daytona. All right, then. Larry Bradley, number 17 qualifier with a 9 flat. Calvin Mason, much closer to the index, number 9 with an 892. So the advantage would appear to be to the man from Mobile. That could all change here momentarily. It's all going to start with who cuts the light. Worldwide Baron Crazy 8's need you in lanes 1 and 2, and also Crazy Top Gas in lanes 3 and 4. Wiseco Street Fighter, you're in lanes 5 and 6, and you're up next.
Steven's girlfriend was going over there.
Up comes Jaleesa Minor and Luis Granado. Jaleesa gets a little bit of an advantage off the starting line. Can she hold it all the way through the other end of the track? She can. Look at that. Jaleesa took out Luis. Unexpected, but pretty cool to see. John Markham, current leader in the Bantam race. John Markham still looking good. Put about a 10th on Shane Parker in reaction time. Can Shane overcome that? I think so. Second pass in a row where a rider went 888 trying to overcome a reaction time disadvantage and failed.
I seen he sent me a message. I can't read it. Looking back to the computer.
He just sent me a message. Don't forget about my birthday. Thank you.
I can see part of
Spencer Blackholm and Brian Miner. Brian Miner just he's really like Brian Jaleesa. And can he win too? He does. On a double breakout, Brian Miner goes under the index by only 4,000 of a second. Lays a better reaction time into that slight advantage. I love this. Brian Miner was first by 1/10,000th of a second. That's right. Brian Miner was first by 0.0001 second. That's terrorism. Oops, Wade Smith does the work to get off the starting line, ends up over on the left side of the right lane. Could be trouble. Walter Outtailing would like to take advantage of it, and he does. Walter Outtailing, your winner, Smith, left his mark on the track. You can see the fish right from here. For the win, 895 on the 890 index and an 015 light. Dusty Brazel gives no quarter, though he went 014 on a light. but for an inexplicable reason couldn't make it happen on the big end, falls off the index by 0.4. So that had all the makings of an outstanding matchup, but it sputtered at the other end. Could have been cool. Now Matt Smith and Sean Welch. Matt Smith's all over that index in an 891 qualifying effort. Sean Welch, not so much on the F1. F1 on 919 in qualifying, but right now Sean Welch is way out on Matt Smith. He better let off the throttle and not break out. Oh my goodness, there's a roar for you. 890 for both racers on the 890 index, so you know what it comes down to at that point, reaction time, and Matt Smith had it.
See ya.
Very, very wicked moment right there. Star Racing Top Gas, need you to lanes 3 and 4, please. Star Racing Top Gas to lanes 3 and 4. Of course, you'll be followed by Worldwide Bearing Crazy 8s. Worldwide Bearing Crazy 8s to lanes 1 and 2. So once again, that is Star Racing Top Gas, lanes 3 and 4. Worldwide Bearing Crazy 8s to lanes 1 and 2. And we move into the Street Fighter category. This is the 950 index. Some would say this is our entry-level class, and on the index range, it is. There is, of course, the entry-level aspect of Street AT, so that's for those who want to build their own AT. But the nice thing about Street Fighter is just about any modern sport bike, when equipped with some GoFast you don't have to get crazy with internal motor mods. You know, pretty much get a good tire, an arm, and lower it, and a pipe and a tune, and a 950 number is relatively achievable. So, great place to start on your drag racing journey here in Street Fighter. So Jerry Gribbins goes at 231 line against Brian Dale's 133, and you know the rest. Those guys thought they were in Supercom. There was a time when Supercom used to be a 990 index. Or was that Super Gas? I think that's what that was. Yeah, back in the day we had a Super Gas class. Well, that's been more or less replaced by this Street Fighter index, which is fine and fun and all. Now Tom Lagasse and Bud Calhoun. Bud Calhoun was on the index pretty tight in qualifying, went 951 with a 3. Star Racing Top Gas competitors should all be in lanes 3 and 4 by now, as well as Worldwide Bearing Crazy 8s in 1 and 2. And hey, ET classes.
Thank you. You can have some. I have a whole other bag. You can take over the other side. No, thank you. Pretty easy. So once again calling Star Racing Top Gas and Worldwide Bearing Crazy 8s to your lanes, please. We're about ready to run Star Racing Top Gas. So if you're in Star Racing Top Gas and you're not in the lanes right now, you're missing this road and nobody wants that. It's about you. So Star Racing Top Gas to lanes 3 and 4, please. Worldwide Bearing Crazy 8s to lanes 1 and 2. Ted Harvey. Justin Lee put on the trailer by Stephen Knight, and not by virtue of a better reaction time either, so Dustin got played at the stripe and lost. And there goes Wade Smith, the #1 qualifier in Crazy Eights, playing here also in Street Fighter and winning, forcing Wonder Woman to go under the index by one. Let's see here. Oh yeah, 1/100th of a second, perfection. But a breakout's a breakout. Doesn't matter if it's 100th, 1,000th, or a second. Spooky John Markham destroys Barry Pryor on the tree. Embarrassingly so for Barry. And that's all it took. Barry Pryor puts up a better ET than John Markham to no avail. John Markham's 9:59 for the win. And Ryan Pignatelli goes under the index, and you know what that means. Walter Houtailing wins the last pair there in Street Fighter, and Walter having a great weekend. Of course, it helps when your competition throws a 300 light. Yow! Okay, now we're going to go into the mini dragsters. And hey, we've got a new one that wasn't apparent yesterday. So we've got the handicapped fellow in the Rob Bush Motorsports equipped Turbo Busa powered entry. It got so much hardware festooned around that engine, I can barely even tell there's a Hayabusa under all that anymore. And the machine in the Pepsi lane by Jamie Teachman is, oh, I get it, that's the funny car, but it doesn't have the body on it. Oh, I see, they were incognito up until now. Now they're showing off the goods. Here we go. Well, you know, my advice to them was less gear. That thing just seemed to be over-geared to the max yesterday. Jamie Teachman in the unbodied funny car in the Pepsi lane dials a 630 for his mini dragster shot. Craig Harrison in the Turbo Busa machine dials a 660. Obviously, we're working on the 8th mile here. Yeah, let me make that clear. If anybody thought we were going to see some 6-second quarter miles out of these, that is not the case. Wonderful look at some interesting machinery here, though. And both machines with essentially wet tires moving up to the starting line. Not much of a burnout going on there.
And over there.
breaks out, making his best pass of the weekend. Double breakout, though. Craig Harrison made it happen with a little better reaction time. And we're going to hold Star Racing Top Gas for the moment. So we're going to bring them up here and just hold on. We'll do a little track prep in the meantime, so that'll keep Star Racing Top Gas at bay for the moment. You see everything works out the way it's supposed to when we've got a great crew and a great program, a bunch of great racers, and wow, hey, everything's great.
I guess.
And if I can have John Markham and Chad Otts return to the lanes as soon as you are able. We know you just made a pass in another class, and you're scheduled to be in the next class, so just a shout out as soon as you can get up here. We appreciate it. Again, that's Chad Otts and Spooky John Markham.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, they did.
I know.
And track prep continues. Taking another look at that dragbike.com Banff series. If you're not familiar with this yet, you need to check it out. Quick call for Crazy Eights to your lane. That would be, of course, 1 and 2. Worldwide bearing Crazy Eights to lanes 1 and 2. The dragbike.com Banff series is designed to crown an annual winner, which is compiled from all the different race series that run here in the USA. And for racers that run one series or multiple series, everybody can compete in the Banff competition, which takes an aggregate total of all the different series winners and runner-ups and puts it in a point system to determine who is just the baddest as you-know-what racer in the USA in terms of drag bike sportsman categories. Previous winners of this include luminaries such as the current campaigning champion, Dustin Lee, and before him, a name everybody knows, JT himself, Mr. Teasley, Jeremy Teasley. Now, right now, so far this year, John Markham is on top of the Banff standings. He has a total of 9 Banff points. Donnie Huffman, the Harley racer, right behind him with 8. Justin Lee and Jeremy Teasley are tied for the 3rd position with 7 points each. And Ben Knight and Ron Arnold currently tied for the 4th position with 6 points each. Well, we're doing a little track prep. And so, the dragbike.com Banff series, sponsored by companies that are here this weekend as well as others. The ones that are here this weekend include MTC Engineering, DME Racing, our event sponsor, MPS Racing, Schnitz Racing, and Worldwide Bearings. Then there's also other companies who are not attending here this weekend that are involved, such as Platinum General Services, the PR Factory Store, Tiger Racing, and Interstate Specialties. An amazing competition conceived by Brandy at dragbike.com. And speaking of dragbike.com, you can get dragbike.com t-shirts, and they've got a wonderful variety of t-shirts in their series over at the One Stop Speed Trailer. Just stop and see Mike Bello and get your dragbike.com t-shirts.
empty.
Now ready to roll. Star Racing Top Gas, the 820 Index.
I could take a nap if I closed my eyes, I'll tell you that.
I have some cookies if you guys need some sugar.
No, I have one.
Someone brought up fudge-filled cookies.
Really?
They're actually
Worldwide
really
Bearing
good.
Crazy Eights. Once again to lanes 1 and 2, please. That's Worldwide Bearing Crazy Eights. You're the next class up. So, do not delay. Get up to the lanes right away.
You'll probably have to eat more than one.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah, I got one.
ET classes now making the call.
Seems like doing it
We're
too
going
much, don't
to
you?
take you to the typically respective lanes of
Oh, yeah.
4, 6, and 8.
Yeah.
And again, it is DMG Chassis V12 to lane 8. Garwood Custom Cycle, CNS Custom, Street ET to lane 6. And NPS Pro ET to lane 4. Once again, all the ET classes make your way to your lanes. You're out after Crazy Eights.
That's cool.
We're going to sit tight on the next pro round while all of our pros get ready. We've got a couple of them still striving to be ready in time for the round. So it's time to get some of these ET classes down to the nitty-gritty. Lots of updates to get there, and we're off. And Star Racing Top Gas, Ricardo Marte and Joe Procopio. Joe Procopio, the big man, look at this. It's the battle of the 827s. Margin of victory, 7/1000ths of a second. Ricardo Marte winning it by a whisker.
Actually, I was born here, moved away from here since I graduated high
No,
school.
I mean at this racetrack.
Aggravating Steve.
Oh.
First time I met Steve, NAHRA Invitational. He was a Phillips 66 track. I was parked on the lane across the street, somebody else owned, selling VP Racing Fuels, and everybody was coming out the gate and seeing us instead of going to those pumps. Steve come and paid us a visit, tried to get us to leave. We stayed right there. And when I moved back here,
Congratulations on your win against Dustin.
we got down there and we were talking.
Rod Bland and Wade Cherry. Wade Cherry gets into the 20s, and that's enough to win, even though he only threw it on 55 light. Rod Bland threw down the wall with
Oh my god, back into it. I was like, I can't tell I'm ready. I'm trying to take this right. And like right
So,
to
13 lights.
Those are fun
Top
though.
Gas by Star Racing.
That's awesome.
That's why I like about quarter mile racing.
Yeah.
You can play a little bit of game in that last 300 or 400 feet.
Yeah, as long as you don't grip the front brake.
You want to go
Yeah.
for a walk
Yeah.
so we can work on
Hey,
smaller
your
food?
brother got his bird out
That's a
of
good idea.
the nest.
Once again, calling ET classes to the lanes, please.
Little bird and
I mean the bird out of the chimney.
MPS Pro ET to lane
I
4.
heard the bird in the chimney yesterday.
If it's too bright, we're
Garwood Custom Cycle, CNS Custom, Street ET to lane 6.
So I posted a thing on Facebook. for
DMG
people
Chassis
out there.
V-Twin to lane 8.
Oh yeah, every week.
This is what he ended up doing. He said modified here negative five, negative five, picture out for
T-shirts. New t-shirts.
That's an unusual outcome. Neither racer anywhere near the index, and one that's much slower wins.
I'll get to you later.
Yeah.
Or he thinks he's
182
going
to lane.
Otherwise,
Man, perhaps it's going to have to tighten up the game if he wants to get past the first round in a man cup event.
yeah, I'll get him.
Curtis Griggs manages to squeeze by him with an 852. So an 042 on the line.
That was awesome. I told Ben, I was like, oh my god, he's gonna be so happy.
Now up Dalton Perry and Boo Brown. Boo Brown having a great weekend. Boo Brown was number 4
It's a little bit
qualifier.
complicated, but
Dalton Perry number 11.
I see some
Worldwide bearing Crazy 8s should be in lanes 1 and 2 by now. Worldwide bearing Crazy 8s in lanes 1 and 2. And ET classes, make your way to the lanes. MPS Pro ET to lane 4, Garwood Custom Cycle CNS Custom Street ET to lane 6. PG Chassis V-Twin to lane 8.
I know. I thought she was black. One time I thought she was black. Cause I thought she was black.
Kelly is the one who reminded me.
That means she's the crazy one.
That's almost Saturday. Like, that made my day too much, so I think I kind of forgot to focus on the rest of the day.
In the oddest of possible circumstances, both riders left before the tree was activated,
You gotta wait till the end of the day to stop.
which is why we got a flashing red light.
Then he pulled back. Actually, that was, what was it, December 2nd? Because they got second.
Do you want to check the two last two guys? Both left and then three out.
Are you going home this weekend? For Father's Day?
Isn't the first race?
He said you want to rerun them?
Oh, you should do that.
I'm supposed to tell him that I don't want tickets. I'm
You're fine with that?
I'll let Becky know.
When both riders leave before the tree is activated.
Because I would exercise.
Any circumstances that led to it don't matter. The fact is, both riders hit before the tree was activated, and that is a safety infraction, and that is it. You're both out.
Kaylee, she's a little bit
Key
better.
matchup here.
A little
Chad
bit
Ox
of
and John Spooky Marco.
But right here, a little bit.
And unless I'm mistaken, John looks like he's lined up a little bit to the left.
When she eats chips, she's got a little bit of like.
Concerned that John might drift to the left a little bit upon
And I
launch.
got a little right here. And then
And he does. He keeps it under control nicely. Throws an 012 light on Chad Ox. Chad could be in trouble. Yes, he is. Neither racer really on top of the index, but the 830 beats the 832 any day with a better light.
That's always a plus. Sorry, I get them G forces down. Yeah. Take care of me.
let's not go to the house until next month. Let's not go to the house until next month. Aunt Dora does. Don't go to the house. Nope, they're probably right now at the beach or something.
Star Racing Top Gas now moving into Crazy 8s. It's all about the 8s here. 888 Now look at that, 888 with an 8. And he loses to an 894 with a 3. Shane Proctor got the light on John Loney there, and that is a heartbreaker for John. Runs almost dead on the index and loses. Tough break, but give it up at the tree, and there's no sympathy. And now a call out for Louis Grist. Louis Grist, who I met with earlier today. John Regan would like to speak to you underneath the crossover bridge. Once again, that's Louis Grist. Please meet with Jay Regan underneath the crossover bridge. There goes Angie Young, and she pulls it off. 893, almost the number one qualifier yesterday. Just barely got beat by Wade Smith at the last minute, and now going round. So good job there, Angie Young. And a call out for my ET classes. Once again, MPS Pro ET Lane 4, Garwood Custom Cycle Cena's Custom Street ET Lane 6, AG Chassis V-Twin ET Lane 8. Spencer Claycomb makes it happen. 914 with an 047 light. Bill Kendall not even in the game. 146 light to 960.
Oh yeah, you're right at the start line.
The man in black is back. Bob Carlson in the Pepsi lane. Marginally better reaction time than Danny Miller. But Danny's ahead at the 330. This will be an interesting race at the stripe. Hey, guess what? The man in black, once again, he does it. 898 on the 888. Good enough for the win.
Yeah, exactly.
Harry Paul gets out first. Keith Brown right behind. Will Keith have enough? Yes, he will. Harry Paul way out in left field. And let's keep an eye on Harry Paul there. We got a slow roller. Slow roller in the right lane.
Oh, yeah. In the window. No, here he is. Down here. Down there, big ones.
Street ET.
Take on the right gate.
11. Yep.
Yep.
Cool.
Go. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey. 600 ducats. Are you
serious? Look at you.
Luis Ornado. Sure enough. 028 light to Dusty Brazos. Inexplicable.
Oh yeah. I broke out today with that against that Harley, that 14.
I don't expect that from you on race day, Dusty.
I had about like two tenths on the tree too. But I caught it.
Now up, Dustin
so
Lee
fast,
takes on
and I missed
Jaleesa
it, but
Minor,
I
who's
should've-
having
I
a
should've
very good
been
day.
You know,
Dustin Lee would like to end that. Jaleesa would like to see it continue. Right now, Jaleesa's got his head run out and as anybody, but her bike seems to bog. Dustin's looking back, and that means it's going all over with the
Well, you
Brian.
have to have those other
Sure enough. Jaleesa had a great day going, but the bike did not perform there
to do that.
Get on the list.
early in the pass.
That'd be cool.
That's all Dustin
You're
needed to
supposed to
speak
make
away
believe I had
from
them
the
on there last night because it's probably gonna be about 5 years until I win another one.
You put them on there.
Thank you.
ET classes, I don't see much of you down here. MPS Pro ET Lane 4, Garwood Custom Cycle Street ET Lane 6. We need more of you. More, please. ET classes, D&G Chassis, V 6:22 to lane 8.
I like sandwiches.
You want to throw some on?
What's that?
You want to throw some on?
No, no, thank you.
No.
I'm stuffed.
Here, eat the rest of the Subway sandwich.
Oh my god, I love you.
Huh?
Sorry. I didn't know you were there. I'm cursing.
What is that?
Cookie dough.
That can't possibly be good.
I didn't hear you.
And there's also fudge cookies. We have fudge cookies.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
And we're going to sit tight here while we get a couple of these sportsman racers back in the lane so that we can run out the ET classes that they also compete in for all of our racers who are running multiple classes today, and there are many. Meanwhile, while we sit tight and wait for a few of them to get back, I am going to make my call for the next pro round. That's right, second round of pro competition tentatively set for 2:45. So, second round of pros, 2:45 with the top down order. That's right, we're going to start from the top and work our way through. Pingle Top Fuel on down, roll the way to Shitco WPS Real Street. So, y'all know your lane assignments, you know where you're at in the order, and I will continue to yell for you as we need you. But, first call for pros, 2:45, starting with Pingle Top Fuel.
Hey, Joe, could you give me give me a legal buy for Street Pro ET? The buyer, please.
Chad Otts, we were on a 5-minute call for you, sir. Chad Otts, need you back to the lanes as soon as possible. 5-minute call, Chad Otts.
No, that's all remaining Street and Pro ET, not just Chad Otts, that's all remaining.
And a revision on that, everybody for Pro and Street ET back to the lanes, please. We are on a 5-minute call. Everybody for Pro and Street ET back to the lanes, please.
You're welcome. How's your day going?
Sorry, so far. Becky.
What?
Dave, he's sitting right next door.
Very fire. I need you back for V-twin. Cancel that, he's here, I think. We're gonna go with V-twin in 2 minutes. 3 feet, they'll be right behind it, so 3 feet.
They'll try.
What's that?
I've tried Bill's trying. He's not understanding. He's thinking the starter held the tree and all this kind of crap, and he didn't. You count until 10. There's Steve.
Yeah, go ahead. I didn't hear your last thing. I was trying to get a Rachel here. 1 minute, we're gonna roll V-twin, and Street Team coming right behind it. So if Street Team isn't here, they're late, and Willie Team's going behind that. So they're all on a 1-minute call.
And all ET classes, if you're not up on the lanes in the next minute, we're going to have some issues. We are rolling V-twin ET in 1 minute, and then we're going to roll Street ET behind that, and then we roll NPS Pro ET. So time to make the call. If you want to make the round, schedule continues.
You got the keys? He didn't need it, it's open, you can lock it. Yeah, if you want to lock it or take it to set the cooler out, it's fine.
D&G chassis, V-twin ET coming at you.
What?
I love you for this little piece of hoagie. Everything I had today was those cookies down on Starbucks.
Yeah, it's overheating.
The motor swallowed a rock.
Oh, really?
Piston, yeah.
So everybody watching at home, we're going to shut the live feed off for a few minutes, let the equipment cool down because the phone's starting to overheat. Sorry.
Moving on, D&G chassis, V